Welcome everyone, this is UnstoppableStreletsys coming to you again today with yet another Definitive Edition 3 1 vs 1. GkShaman is back with us again today as the Russians. And on the opposing side we have Mihrk as the Japanese. Before we get started, let's just look at the map real quickly. In general, when I look at the map, one thing you gotta keep in mind with Malaysia is the fact that you can actually rely on fishing as opposed to just hunting. I'm actually quite familiar with the Malaysia map since, this is a tournament map we use in the Wars of Liberty community on Legacy, so if it's gonna come down to anything, that's gonna come down to who can use this fish very well, potentially, as well as who can take advantage of the natives in this trade route here. Those tend to be pretty key parts of this map. Your initial hunts tend to be very close like they are here, so, it's not going to be that much of an issue. Russia, they're good at rushing, obviously. Even has Rush in their name. It's obviously the civ that I get my namesake from, so it's definitely a civ I admire a lot in their aggro ability. And our opponent, the Japanese, the cool thing about the Japanese is they're great at turtling, as well as booming over time with their wonderful shrines. This is going to be fun to watch. Let's see how it goes. Let's get started. I'm just going to be watching both sides to see what they do, if there's any key critical parts in the beginning, as well as their decks, because a deck can basically tell you a whole storybook of what that player's going to try to do. Whether they do it or not, who knows, but at least they have a plan in mind to get themselves started somewhere. The weird, difficult part of Rush early on is the fact that you always have to build that house pretty early just to get your second queue of 3 settlers. Whereas with other civilizations, you can wait a little bit to get that house up. Oh, wait a second, he's going up for a market as well. Now, see, he does actually have a coin treasure that he's going to be grabbing nearby. He's probably going to take advantage of this, yes he is, to get hunting dogs. Yeah, 20 coin plus 30 from this tin mine here. That should make getting hunting dogs pretty easy for him. They'll obviously improve age-up time. They'll obviously improve his military acquisition later as well. What about Japan? What is Japan doing? Japan is going to be focusing on this treasure, 100 XP. This could be pretty critical for Japan. The more XP they get, remember, Japan can send some cards twice. So if they can really start farming up that XP really early, they can get some pretty nice unit shipments where it really matters. We'll look at their deck first. He's going with the start of 300 food, so he's looking to age up super duper quick. In general, it seems like a lot of his cards are based on shrine wagons, as well as cherry orchards, military, especially the Ashiguru, mining. So I think in general we could see some early action from the Japanese, or they could be just looking to defend till later to take advantage of this Vil card and these crates. What about Russia? Let's see what Russia's going to be doing. It is important to note that he's already going for another treasure here, this one being a coin treasure. Now, that coin could serve handy again a group of musketeers, and as we're looking at that, it seems like the Japanese are actually quite nearby, getting this food treasure, which will definitely help again a wonder up sooner. Let's look at the Russian deck. So, they started with the Distributivism Wood Trickle. This is a pretty standard Russian play. As far as cards are concerned, He does have the Reform as Tsar, so maybe he will be using this to help in his unit upgrades. Does have a lot of upgrade options. The standard UnstoppableStreletsys card, Cossacks. This definitely looks a little bit more later game than, you're used to with the Russians. But he can probably defend himself with Streletsys if he needs to. Now, let's look at the age-up times. Russia can already start to age up, like, right now. He probably should. He's got enough food, too. How about Japan? See, now, Japan is actually already halfway to their age-up. And it's also going to be the Torii Gate. This could actually pose a serious danger to Russia. As many know, the Torii Gate is an aggressive wonder for the Japanese. The more things that they build and train, the more XP bounties they get from it, since it improves experience bounties. In addition, the more units he can kill with his own military units will also give him an improved XP bounty from those defeated units and buildings. So we could be seeing some very aggressive play here from Japan, aided by this shrine card in particular, like the Kanisi build has used in the past on Wiji's channel. GkShaman is just starting to age up now, about, I would say probably 2/3 in. Quite slow though, compared to his Japanese opponent, who could just as easily put down some Ashigurus and start pressuring him. We also see Russia going for a trading post, which makes me wonder what they're going to do exactly. Not too far though from the shrine. Yeah, can he actually see the shrine going down? No, he can't. He'll probably notice though right about now. Yep, just saw the foundation of it. What's going to happen next is really going to matter, I think. It looks like Russia, as long as they know what... Wait a minute, we got 2 blockhouses here. I can't quite tell if this is a defensive play or it's going to be used to start military production. I think well, one thing we can use is a telltale sign is this 700 coin. That means that he's probably looking to go FF potentially, especially from the way we looked at the deck. He has a lot of Age 3 and Age 4 cards that he could tap into if he wanted to. One thing I don't see either of these players doing, which would be a pretty smart play, is to get some fishing ships. This is a really good fishing boom map for anyone that can spare the wood for it. He's opting instead to go for steel traps, since a lot of those early coin treasures helped them out a lot in that regard. What is Japan doing? They were actually going to start with the Ashiguru Musketeers. But as you can see here, he's starting pretty slowly with the queue. Only getting 1, so maybe it's being used to... Well, actually no, he has about 8 of them already. We could see ourselves an Age 2 rush on the Japanese side, especially with diplomatic intrigue being researched from the home city as well. He could add in some... Well, if it's like standard Torii builds, I would assume he's going to go with the Japanese isolationism. That's typically what a lot of Japanese builds entail. Go with the Portuguese first to take advantage of the cheaper shrine costs and also cheaper age-up costs from the wonders, since wonders are buildings as well. And then they switch to Japanese to take advantage of the better stats and as well as the wider variety of units in their arsenal. He is pushing forward. He's likely going to be looking to put some pressure on his Russian opponent, especially if he was paying attention to their slower age-up time. He's thinking, yeah, I could probably do some serious damage if he's slacking and maybe focusing on a later FF. Yeah, he is going to get some kills out of this. 2 settlers being shot down right in front of the blockhouse. what's Russia gonna do about UnstoppableStreletsys coming to the rescue? Yeah, these are perfect. These are gonna force him to retreat. Their nice anti-heavy infantry multipliers combined with their range should be able to keep any sort of Ashiguru pressure down for now. I'm also curious to see whatever sorts of tricks Russia has up their sleeve as well. They did age up pretty late, so they do probably have a pretty nice mid-game, maybe later game strategy in mind to overpower the Japanese. Right now it just seems to be UnstoppableStreletsys in a large mass. The only thing Japan can really do now pretty easily is go for his trading post to disrupt his XP a bit, which I think he's going to get away with from the looks of it. This trading post is going to go down any second. It's not a lot that unfortunately I can do to save him. He is going to get this down, and yep, you better get out. Yep, he's going to get away pretty unscathed. Oh, he's going for the Survov reforms. This is a pretty powerful arena card as well. It turns all his UnstoppableStreletsys into muskets. Those nice, cheap but weak musketeers that Russia's famous for. Now the advantage of that is he's going to be able to have a bit better HP and overall attack against things other than heavy infantry. He'll also be more impervious if any Nagis come out on the Japanese side, which actually they could be, because I do see a stable going up. This might have been a key play here from the Russian player. Yeah, this is the perfect Russian play. These recruits are definitely going to do a lot of key damage to this Japanese opponent. As you can see here, Russia did a really good job at keeping his hunts in his base and just getting enough coin that he needed for technologies, since he knew the majority of his recruit population would be from Streletsys that he would be producing from the card. He also got the veteran upgrade on the recruits, giving them even more modern stats than these H2 Ashigurus will provide Japan. I think in the end here it's going to come to a Russian victory, just because they have more numbers and more upgrades. When you combine both of those aspects together, it's not a lot you can do. Yeah, I mean, Japan is going to try their very best to just defend this base. With the little units that he has, I don't think there's a lot of key micro plays he can do besides this kiting attempt here. And he also has a bank, which, you know, is going to help him a little bit, but once you get to this phase, how do you force out a large army of recruits like this? Nothing. There's nothing you can really do. He would have had to have at least like 25 to 30 Yumi bowmen perhaps to maybe force him back, but obviously he wasn't going for that. He was going for the strong push in with Ashigurus, thinking that his opponent was feeble and behind, when in reality the Russian player had him tricked, sticking into his base, gradually building up that food income, and then spamming enough Streletsys alongside the FF needed to turn them into veteran musketeers, or what we call now recruits. Just what the Russian player needed to catch his opponent off guard and go for the quick kill as soon as he reached that third age. Good play on both sides. If I was Japan and going against the same situation, I think I'd probably take the bait as well. Be it I'd probably go in with more Yumi archers, because what I like to do typically is keep the shrines on wood to help get my shrines up first, and as a result I'd probably be focusing on more anti-heavy infantry. What he did was alright too, since in the end you do want to switch those shrines over to coin, so to keep your Ashiguru backbone army going. And on the Russian side, I think if I was Russia in this case, I wouldn't have thought of something like that initially. Usually when I play Russia, I go in for the early pressure, getting the UnstoppableStreletsys and the recruits out, and just pushing in right away. One more thing that I didn't see before until now was these Oprishniks. If for some reason our Japanese friend here was able to keep those recruits out with some Yumi Bowmen, I think these Oprishniks would have been the nail in the coffin. They would have certainly taken down that town center and any sort of important infrastructure in his base without much resistance, especially if he can support him with this infantry. Good quick Malaysia match. Next time, try to get some fishing boats in between if you can. It's a nice free resource you can use to get lots of food on this map, especially since it's your own body of water that an opponent is rarely going to be bold enough to put a dock in to counter you. At the very least, they would have to scout this water out, which takes time to place their naval home city gather point somewhere in this body here, which I've seen people do in the Wars Liberty community, but in reality, when you're trying to get treasures, which they are doing very fruitfully this game, it's kind of hard to fit that in between. Good game both sides. I definitely enjoyed this one. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I hope to be doing more of these Definitive Edition 3 matches in the future. Looking forward to doing a big stream for D3 on Saturday. It's going to be pretty big and pretty fun. Hope to see you there. And if you can't catch it, it'll be on the channel as well for you to watch later. Alright, I'm going to sign off now, and hopefully prepare some Wars of Liberty content for you later. See you later, and see you on Saturday. Bye-bye.